Simon, you run a estate agency in Torquay, around there, 3 offices.
Yeah.
When did you decide that you wanted to be an estate agent?
Stemmed from my mum was a secretary and estate agent back in London
Okay.
back in the 70s, and said it was good, said I might enjoy it. So eventually when it came around to me leaving school,
Okay.
saw a job advertised and went for it. And yeah.
So Chief Tea Boy sticking photos on, and
Yep.
what year was that then?
That was 1991. I was 18.
You went to work. Who do you work for? One of the corporates?
I worked for Cornerstone.
Wow.
Yes, the old Abbey agents.
God, they were old days.
They were quite good. They were quite good as a corporate back then. They were quite modern and they weren't very rigid.
Yes.
Which some of the corporates were back then.
God, they were old days, mate.
It was a long time ago.
So, what, you just stuck with them for the rest of your life? Obviously not, because you sat here, but...
No, I did 9 months with them.
Yeah.
Didn't think the corporate structure of certain things suited me. Commissions were pulled, which was quite modern for corporates then, but some of the credit was attributed more to somebody who worked on a Saturday and just happened to register the applicants that walked through the door. They'd get credit for things they did nothing other than put their names on a piece of paper.
I'm with you.
So I kind of got a bit fed up with that. Went to work for a letting agent for a bit. It wasn't the best decision in the world.
Okay.
Didn't get paid very often there, which was a bit of a problem. And then eventually got an offer of a job at Connell's back in the day.
What year was this?
96, I think, 95,
96.
96. I did a few other things for a couple of years in and out, and then got offered another job. Connell's took too long to come back to me, so I went for the other job. I was there 3.5 years before I...
Okay, so you basically, through the late 90s and early 2000s, were, just going up the greasy pole, the ladder?
Pretty much up to sort of 99. So 99, I left Torquay, moved up to Bedfordshire. I met my wife, and then decided that I'd be a mortgage
broker. Did you move up to
meet
meet her, or were you? Did you?
I met her, and then moved up there.
Okay.
And then did a bit of work as a website designer, working primarily with estate agency websites.
Yes.
Then became a mortgage broker. Worked for Connell's then for a year. So eventually got around to working for Connell's as a mortgage broker. Then an independent for a year. Then worked from home for a few years as a mortgage broker. Before then thinking, let's get back into being an estate agent. And,
so this was 2006, wasn't it?
2006. Yeah, I decided I sort of could do with
you were
going to
make. How old were you in 2006, roughly?
20. It's getting me going now. 2006, 20. No, 33.
You were 33.
There we go. Yeah.
You were 33.
Missed a decade out there somewhere.
Okay, so you're 46, 47 now.
46 coming up. Yeah.
Good stuff. So you're in your early 30s. Why did you want to set up your own agency?
Well, I felt as a mortgage broker, getting leads was key, and it's still leads are key in most businesses when you're in a sales role. So having an estate agents where people would walk in your door and come and tell you they were looking to buy a house and needed a mortgage seemed to be a perfectly good opportunity. Found somebody who I knew through a mutual contact, thought they'd work well on one side, I could be the mortgage broker, they could be the estate agent.
Yeah.
And with my knowledge of being an estate agent over years as well, I'd be a bit of both.
Yes.
And it went well to start with.
What were your hopes of setting your own business up?
Hopes were to probably be able to retire in 5 years' time and sell out to one of the corporates and make a fortune.
Did you have any worries about setting your own business up?
Not really, because my parents had always run their own business. So I learnt some things from them.
What did you learn from them?
I think I learned not to work with family, and now my wife, my daughter's boyfriend all work in the same business as me. So I obviously forgot that lesson very quickly. Yes. I don't know. I thought I was trying to do things differently. So I think more things that I learned not to do than to do, I think, is what you learn.
And what were your expectations of starting your own business? Did you think you were going to pull up the trees and take over Bedford?
I think we thought we were going to do better than we did do, particularly on the south side. We opened, unfortunately, at the wrong time, just before 2007, 2008 in the market. So we'd only really been established a year. So we weren't strong enough at that stage. Just a sales operation initially at that stage as well. But I was busy doing mortgages, so it's fine, mortgages and a bit of sales coming through. It was just starting to go.
And then it went tits up. Technical term.
Technical term.
When it went belly up, how did it feel that your dream was basically being shattered?
I don't think I had time to think about it. Honestly, there was a time to react, and I'd spent a month doing mortgages, trying to see people, realising out of the 12 to 15 appointments I'd had, I couldn't actually help anybody with a mortgage.
What? Because the banks have changed the
Banks had
criteria.
changed criteria. There was people didn't want to lend money. There was just no deals to be done. It was just better not to get a mortgage because of what was happening. And the sales side was going bad. We had no time to think. We had to go, well, what are we going to do? We're in a lease. We've got employees. We've got to keep a roof above our head. So we had to evolve into being a letting agent very quickly.
And was that easy?
It was surprisingly easy at the time.
This
yeah.
was 06, this was 07, 08.
Probably at end of 07 it was. Probably at end of 07 when we realised.
Okay.
And within, one morning we had a meeting and said, well, what are we going to do? And we were like, let's be a letting agent. By the end of the day, we had half a dozen properties in the window to let. It was that quick and that sudden because we kind of had the stock on the sales side that wasn't selling at the time.
Yes.
Could look, why don't you just let it? And we've got so many people agreed it. And then within 6 to 12 months, we were up to 100 odd managed properties.
Wow.
Without doing anything really difficult. But at the time, there were less letting agents. A lot of the agents were still sale agents and were very much looking down on letting agents. So there wasn't the massive competition that there is now. So many of the corporates weren't doing it, or when they were doing it, they weren't focusing on it.
It was so low-hanging fruit. Anyone could do it, couldn't they?
Yeah.
It was like falling off a log.
And we built that quite well. So from end of 2007, early 2008, up to sort of start of 2010, built that up. We were managing 175, 200 properties. It was pretty good. And the market was good on the letting side. And the sales side was starting to come back a bit, and we're doing a bit more on that then as well.
So what made you give up Bedford and go back to Torquay?
Well, Torquay's my hometown. I'm originally from London, but ended up down there.
Your missus was from Bedford, though?
Missus was from Hertfordshire, but Bedfordshire area. I sort of moved up there. Business partner of a friend of mine, my best friend, who's actually my business partner now, was talking about setting up an agency. I got involved in a meeting to give them some advice or more what not to do and pitfalls to watch out on. Finished off the meeting and I sort of said to him, well, what about looking for any other partners? He went, well, yeah, really wanted a third one, but we can't find anybody. And I went, well, maybe it's me. Yeah, you haven't thought? He said, well, you wouldn't move because you've got this. And I said, well, I think you probably hit me at the right time where I probably would.
Okay.
So I ended up saying, yeah, I'm going to do that. Went back to my business partner up in Bedford, said I'm selling up, I'm moving.
How did they feel?
I think he felt like I'd cheated on him almost. It was I can understand it. It was a bit of a shock to him, a bit of a shock to me really, to some extent. But I had to do what was right for us as a family. And there were other things and reasons that we wanted to move there as well. In the meantime, after handing
how did your wife feel about wanting to go down to Torquay?
I think she felt she liked Torquay. Having never lived there before, it was still a bit of a shock. My youngest daughter was very much not keen on the whole thing. But I think they thought it was probably the right time for us because of various other things just that happened. So we decided to move. By the time we'd committed and decided to move out and found a house to move to and everything, my current business partner pulled out of the deal and was offered a really good pay rise to stay where he was. So I ended up with no business partner, but then found somebody else I'd worked with who we talked about maybe came on board with us, and we opened up regardless in 2010.
So are you still friends with your friend that pulled out in Torquay and Bedford as well?
Yeah, he's my best friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's really rare, isn't it?
It's very rare, and we explored it again a couple of years later, and it didn't happen. And then about 3 years ago, he contacted me and said, "Look, what about it? We need to do something." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And he went, "Well, we need to do some business together. We need to come into business." And I said, "Well, look, okay, but this is the last time we talk about it. It's either now or never."
But hold on, you had already set a business up in Torquay, haven't you?
Yep.
At this point,
yep.
With someone else.
Yep.
So is there now 3 of you in the business?
No, because at 2 years in, he decided he didn't really want to be an estate agent anymore. So you
replaced one friend with another friend.
So I bought him out. So we owned it as a family. He stayed within the business though. Still, actually, is a sort of a non-executive director. Does loads of work for us as well. So he's still very much involved in the business, even though he owns no shares. But then my now business partner came back in and said, "Let's do it." We managed to negotiate a deal. So now it's me, him, and the family's own a few of the shares as well. But it's mainly me and him at the moment.
And so that was a few years ago.
2016. So two and a half years ago now.
So you've got 3 offices.
Yep.
How's the business going?
Yeah, the third office, by the way, is with another business partner. We've set up as a sort of slightly separate one.
Oh, like a joint venture.
So joint venture. So that's going well as well. It's sort of growing now. It's been open a year. But the 3 offices, yeah.
So how's it going in 2019 with your business?
Yeah, it's going well. We found sales to be good, instructions to be good.
So you're not under the cosh of this London disease that's
No, we're kind of ignoring it in the nicest possible sense. We're hearing all the bad news, but then saying, well, the evidence is not actually showing that down where we are. So as long as that lasts, we're going to remain positive.
So what are you doing about the fact of, let's be honest, lettings is an important part of your business. You're
Yep.
going to be losing some of your income. Have you done anything to prepare yourself for that?
Yeah, we've certainly made some efficiency savings. So we've worked out things where we can improve things. We've changed processes so that they're going to be quicker. That there's less time for people to change their minds. I think when the fee ban actually comes in, we're going to enforce that even faster. I think we're having to be more firm with people as well. I think the government didn't really intend that. It's very much generation rent, and they need the help, and But I think what's going to happen is estate agents, letting agents, are going to become a lot firmer with tenants. Not going to put up with so much. Not going to put so much effort in to some extent. So someone comes in and says, "I've got this problem. I've got 7 children. I've got 2 dogs, and my income's not easy to prove." We'll probably go, "Well, it's a shame, but we'll need to move on to the next person because we can't afford to spend as much time trying to help people as perhaps we did in the past."
That's a shame, isn't it?
I think it's an unintended consequence, and it is going to be a shame. And I think it is going to change the business dramatically.
So what systemization have you done in your business, predominantly prop tech, to bring your business in? Let's talk at the front end about bringing business in, and then in a minute we can talk about internal stuff that helps you get the stuff through.
Okay, so bringing business in, prop tech wise, not doing so much on that side, to be fair. That's still more of we're doing more the traditional networking to generate.
Does that work? What does that look like?
Well,
share with the guys at home. Obviously, no one in Torquay is going to see this video.
No. Certainly, I network with a local group on a weekly basis, and we basically look out for business for each other. It's as simple as that.
Any tips for those? Because plenty of people go to those BNI type of meetings.
It is a BNI group. Yeah, I've been in BNI 8 years now. For me, it works really, really well. You've got to get involved. You've got to commit the time to it. It's like anything. You don't just suddenly turn up and people start giving you business. You've got to build relationships. And it is about relationships. And
playing the long game, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's where most of our business comes from. It's relationships. It's current landlords recommended to other landlords, people contacting us because they've seen us out and about and they've heard about what we do and how we do it. We're very, very strong in the local paper still, advertising in our local paper, and that for us gets a lot of landlords, because if you look at the demographic of a landlord, they tend to be more mature. They tend to be more likely to read the local paper than the younger generations. So although we advertise properties in there, you tend to find it's the younger generation looking for properties in there, but perhaps viewing it at the parents' house, and the parents are perhaps the landlords who then get attracted. So that's working for us, even though it's not very prop techy.
So how many properties do you have under management lettings wise then?
Around about 200 mark.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
What CRM system do you use?
We use Expert Agent
Okay.
for the general marketing and
Okay. Any add-ons that you've used that you like that you want to shout about?
PayProp. For
you
payments.
love PayProp.
Love PayProp.
Love PayProp.
Love PayProp. It's getting better all the time as well. I mean, I've been with them just over a year now. It isn't the easiest system to grasp to start with, I don't think.
It's not cheap either, is it?
It's not cheap. No, it's not cheap. But when you think of the time it takes away from me having to do stuff, I can go through in the morning, like on the train here today, in 5 minutes I've paid the rents that came in today, the straightforward ones. Now, the ones that are a bit more complicated take time anyway. You have to think about things and put the right data in. But the more you use it, the easier it becomes, the quicker it becomes.
Because let's be frank, when you're dealing with an estate and letting agency with 200 properties, the amount of money that's sloshing around, I know if you've got a member of staff that you trust, great, but some people haven't got that.
Yeah.
Does PayProp help you with that?
PayProp massively helps me now. Whereas before I was getting to the stage of my previous business partner was doing the rents for us. However, he's not always around, so he sort of can go on a holiday, and then I take over for a bit. That was taking a lot of time to do it the old-fashioned way.
How much time do you think PayProp saved you a month?
I would probably spend about a day a week dealing with rent payments.
Now?
In the past, and now I can probably do it less than half a day a week.
Wow. And before that, was that one lump of a day, and this is just basically half an hour at the end of each day?
Well, to be fair, most of the time I spent the evenings doing it. So I'd sit down and have the laptop out, and I'd be maybe
you couldn't do that in the old days, could you? Because you'd have to sit at the desk.
Yeah, but I'd have the laptop out and I'd spend time doing it, and it's just laborious. I'd be going, make a payment, going to the bank account, make that payment, wait for the bank to go through. My bank was invariably slow. It did my head in. I'd spend 2 hours making payments, not even actually doing the work.
So that's your favourite PayProp is your favourite lettings prop tech. So what's your favourite prospecting tool?
Probably Spectre at the moment.
Oh, I love Spectre.
For sort of sending out general mail, sort of direct mail through the door, landing on doorsteps. It still works. You know, we're now 2019, but it's still working. Piece of paper.
Brilliant piece of kit. Brilliant piece of kit.
So that's working really well for us.
And
it's really simple, really easy to run. You just run it every day.
Any advice for people that use Spectre? What you get the best out of it? I mean, a lot of my clients use it.
I'd say get the times right between sending each letter out. Make sure you change the letters so that they do reflect what stage they're like to be at and how they're like to be feeling.
Yes.
So I think the standard letters that Spectre had at the start were okay, but they were very much generic, and they can't cover every market and industry. And I think now they don't even actually offer the pre-done letters.
It's important because there's nothing worse than actually getting the same letter from the same two agents. On the sales side, more on the back end, do you have any other favourite prop tech solutions?
Back end, so yeah, just like PayProp, which makes our rents go through quicker and easier, which pleases our landlords. Mio would be the one we've started on sort of recently that I think is going to help us to get sales through quicker, keep vendors updated easier, let them communicate with us how they want to communicate with us using the app and so on, as well as buyers to help them guide them through the.
But surely Mio's just a chain checker, isn't it?
No, I mean obviously it's got the chain checker feature in there, but the beauty of that is it's not just checking the chain at the start; it's knowing where the chain is through the process. So as other agents come on board with Mio, particularly some of the corporates already on board, and some of the more independent ones come on board, as they update, we can see what's happening and how that's being updated. And for us, then it's also how we can communicate the latest stage of the process to our vendors and to our buyers,
which is really important because they're always crying about lack of communication.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've been on board with it now for a good 4 or 5 months. Has it made that a material amount of difference to your business?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a while for it to get through as the more agents come on board. Because I think that the real value is going to be the community of agents, and it's going to help all agents. The more agents that come on board. So it's one of these that, although we like to have it ourselves, and it's a tool we use when we're on valuations to differentiate ourselves from other agents.
So you do use it on your tools to get.
Yeah, we do talk about valuations. Yeah, it does. People like the idea of being able to have this app, and they like the idea of knowing. So
the vendor has an app, and it's like a memory serves you well. It's kind of like a Trivial Pursuit where you see the keystones.
Yeah, and as you go around, it sort of shows how far the transaction's through. But the beauty of it is that we don't have the problem where they phone us and we're on the phone, so we can't actually talk to them.
What's happening?
We phone them back, and
so
they're
you're cutting down phone calls.
Yeah, we'll cut down phone calls. Yeah, so they'll get the updates as we get them. They're instant as well. So I think it's going to make a major difference.
It's really simple.
It is really simple, and that's the beauty of it. It doesn't need to be too complicated. As far as I'm concerned, having simple communication that people can actually get something on their mobile phone when they want it, when they're having their lunch or they're out for a walk and they get a buzz on the phone and go, oh great, that's happened. The searches are back, or they've been ordered.
What about you as a boss using it? Because let's be honest, sales chasing is a law to itself. And how many negs that really hate their boss? You know, where are we on the pipeline? Does it help you with that, knowing where things are? Things need to kick up the arse and what?
It does, because it'll show you when tasks have not happened, or they're overdue, or milestones need to be met, and then you can actually go into those milestones and update them and say, well, this hasn't happened because this hasn't happened, and
will that note go through to the vendor?
That note will go through to the vendor if you allow it to go through to the vendor. But obviously, there's areas where you put notes on for yourself that they won't necessarily see, but the actual milestones they'll see, and you can then communicate with them as and when. So if you've got notes you don't want them to, you can.
Is there any other prop tech that you use that's a favourite of yours?
We like Akaboom.
Yes.
That's really helped us for.
What's that do for you?
It helps us to. It's effectively a digital presenter that we use on valuations.
Yes.
We also use it prior to the valuation for a sort of a pre.
I love the fact that you send it to the punter, and whenever they open it up, it sends you a little message so you can pick the phone up and be like a mind reader.
That is the best thing. Because you don't want to phone them every time they open it, otherwise they'll twig very quickly. But sometimes you'll see they've opened it 3 times in an hour.
Yes.
And they're obviously in that mindset. They're thinking about it. They're talking to their friend about it, or their wife, or whatever it may be about that. And then that's the time to just give them a quick call.
And that's really helped you with listings and things.
Massively.
Simon, that's been absolutely fascinating, and I'm sure all the prop tech firms we've mentioned will love this video and share it with them. And thank you for sharing it with the rest of the Estate Agency community.
No problem at all. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers.